Good evening, one and all. I, Priya Dugal, on behalf of Professional Development Committee of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, would like to welcome CA Abhay Charger to please, Chairman Professional Development Committee, to please give the welcome address.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Priya. And thank you all of you for joining for this webinar, the 15th webinar under the DNA, the Discover New Avenues series, which we started last year and intend to continue. The only idea of to have niche areas of opportunity which we can look at, more opportunities for participants across the country, not just on those specific areas we've been discussing in past, but find new areas where you can look from a new perception, so that we have a domain expert today, CA Roshan Bajaji, who's joined with us, and an excellent topic, Roshan, which you give it to us, and I'm sure the participants will highly be benefited, all of them. When you speak about internal audit, is something you can do throughout the year. It's not just seasonal, like we have tax audits, we have income tax when you do the tax audit, filing of returns, or you do company audits. But this is something can be done throughout the year. And the other big advantage of internal audit is that there's so much of learning, because you have to be up to date when you do an internal audit of any organization. And that is what I think was a thought under PDC with me as chairman, and Piyush Chajir, the vice chairman, who was joined from Mumbai. Thank you, Piyush bhai, for joining. And both of us thought that let's look up to an area. Of course, we look up to new areas, and this is also an area. And the good or the beauty of the topic today is you've added the tech enabled assurance. So that I'm sure the participants would be eagerly waiting to hear from you. What is this tech-enabled assurance, which I think now can be also done in internal audit? And joined with us is the Central Council member, CA Ravi Patwaji from Kolkata, the chairman of Internal Auditing Standard Board. Ravi bhai, thank you so much for joining. Truly, we thought as an opportunity, you being the chairman, you can also share your experience as the chairman of IASB, and then definitely members would know the initiative which you have taken, especially I would say in terms of the internal audit standards, where there are a lot of changes. The concurrent audit certificate course amendments, I think, has been already proposed, approved, and which now be coming, I'm sure you'll be covering. But from this DNA series, I can only say that this is an opportunity for members to listen to domain experts. Like today, we have CA Roshan Bajaj, who's joined us from the PDC. We keep trying that we get new areas, we look up to new areas of opportunity, like we did for data analytics, we did for cybersecurity, we did for sustainability once on the ESG, and any new area which we can look up to for members, and then they can think for adding a new vertical, or what areas they're missing out. Maybe they are carrying out internal audit, but may not be the way and quickly or smoothly and with effectiveness could be done. And I think that is all we'll be listening to Roshan. And PDC, of course, taking a lot of initiatives just to share with all of the members, the season of the multi-purpose empanelment form, which each one of you filing is to be released in the first week of August. We are in preparation and finalizing the entire form. And this time we intend to prepone the entire form by almost 40 days, which was released earlier years by 15th, or between 15th to 20th of September, will be done in this very first week of August. So I would sincerely request members, because generally we do get mails from members that September being busy season. So we thought August would be the right season, and we'll be doing it. And over and above, there are a number of initiatives with respect to insurance sectors and cooperative sectors, CRCS, Central Registrar, and other areas also. We are trying how PDC could really push things to regulators to try and prepone and implement certain things well in advance, so that the data is available to the regulators through the multi-purpose empanelment form. And any other area where there is an opportunity, PDC, we are making efforts with the team that we are able to reach out to regulators and create new areas of opportunity for members. And coming to the topic, I think again, I must compliment Roshan for sparing your valuable time, and today being a working day, especially 5 to 7, when you are away, the clients leave, then you get time for yourself, but you're here among all of us to speak on this very interesting topic. Thank you so much, and thanks Ravi bhai for joining, and all the participants. And I'm sure we'll have a wonderful and insightful discussion on this topic. And there's a good learning for all of us. And I wish this 2 hours would be a happy learning for all of us and would be a successful webinar under the DNA series. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request CAPU Charter, Vice Chairman, Professional Development Committee, to give the opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Priya. The chairman of the Professional Development Committee, CA Abhay Chajarji, who was just addressing you. The chairman of the Internal Audit Standards Board, CA Ravi Patwaji, the faculty, the speaker for the day, domain expert, CA Roshan Bajaj, and all the esteemed members. A very good evening to all of you. And I once again welcome you all for this DNA, specifically on internal audit, more specifically from technology enabled. Of course, we have between us a chairman of internal audit. I'm sure he would be also addressing and briefing the members about the importance of the internal audit and the initiatives which ISB has been taken. I'll not go into the PDC, which my chairman has already touched upon, but I got an opportunity to be part, along with the chairman of the ISB, to visit to Securities Exchange Board of India. And his passion to see to it, even for Roshanji, you may know that, his passion is that the internal audit should remain a function as far as corporate entities are concerned, as far as public interest entities are concerned. Why it should not remain open to other professionals? It should be only to those professionals. When I say other professionals, means professionals other than 2 or 3, 4 important identified professions who has an expert knowledge of the compliances, risk, financial functions of it. And his strength is making a very hard efforts on that. And that day I was also sitting with the president of ICI. I think so he has already put a word to him also, and he's already trying to speak to all the members of SEBI also in this regard. So I'm sure it would be a very forward-looking approach and a very successful idea which has been floated by Ravi Patwaji if gets accepted to it. Coming to this topic, of course, internal audit topic itself is a very vast, and as we tell in the finance, whenever something wrong happens, of course, somebody would say IIA defines it as one of the third line in defense. But if you actually ask me as a statutory auditor, I would say IIA is the first line of defense after the management. Because other than the management, internal audit is the first line of the defense. And thereafter, the other external auditors comes into the picture. And therefore, this function is very important, number one. Number two, not only internal audit plays a statutory role, technically it also plays a role of a value addition, where the value addition has been respected a lot, I believe. And unless and until you bring value to a table, probably your professional services would not be appreciated to an extent which generally it should have been accepted. So I feel that it plays a very important role, and the value addition should be kept in the mind by all the professionals who are involved into this particular functions. So I think so. I'm sure Roshanji would try to give his perspective to it. But as far as PDC is concerned, our idea is not only to people who are actually engaged in internal auditor. Our idea would be people, our audience, I'm sure people would be there who are actually not engaged as of today in the internal audit also. And if they can get engaged after listening to you, if they can actually think about it, how they can take forward this professional area as a new opportunity, I think so. I would see this seminar to be a very successful. That's what idea of professional development committees. So with this, my best wishes to all the esteemed members of our institute who have joined today. I'm sure the next 2 hours would be very enlightening. I am sure Roshanji would be taking up the questions. If you have Priyaji, if you can receive some questions, you can put forward. Idea is if we are able to resolve if we can able to give any clarity to whatever apprehensions or the questions are in the mind of our members, I think so it would be the success of this webinar. So thank you very much once again. Over to you, Priya.
Thank you, sir. Now I request C.A. Ravi Patwa, sir, Central Council Member ICI, to please give the special address for the session.
Thank you, Priya. At the outset, I would like to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the Professional Development Committee, especially to the Chairman of the Professional Development Committee, C.A. Piyush Chajer, and the Vice Chairman, C.A. Chairman C.A. Abhay Chajer, and the Vice Chairman, C.A. Piyush Chajer. Well, giving this name DNA, discovering new avenues itself shows how passionate are they to work for the profession and to ensure that the professionals get more and more avenues for their development so far as the pecuniary interest is concerned. Friends, Piyush Bhai has spoken a lot about the developments happening in the Internal Audit Standards Board and in the uh, field, or rather the faculty of internal audit. And very rightly he has put that the benefit of this particular webinar would actually be passed on if those professionals who are not in the internal audit profession today get converted into internal audit professionals. Friends, after the changes proposed in the Companies Act, especially in Section 139(12), uh, internal audit as it is has been gaining in momentum and importance. After 139(12) amendment proposal, it will gain even more momentum. He talked about the SEBI issue. We have been trying our level best that the regulators recognize that internal audit is a specialized function and it needs specialized knowledge, which chartered accountants possess. The regulators feel that maybe other regulated entities, some other regulated professionals can also become good internal auditors. We are not debating that, although we are very convinced that the chartered accountants' ability as internal auditors is much above others. But at least there are non-regulated entities, and those non-regulated entities, just by possessing some certification, should not enter into a field which is extremely important for the corporate world, because it is their certification which is the primary certification. The statutory auditors come much later, again rightly put in by Piyush Bhai, and their certification is so much holds so much of importance. And if something wrong goes on, then somehow only statutory auditors are held responsible, whereas internal auditors are the real backbone of the control system checking. Anyways, let us not go much into the details of it. We are trying with SEBI, we are trying with RBI and with MCA also. But some recent development. Piyush Bhai talked about value addition. I'm taking a cue from his speech and continuing. He talked about value addition. Friends, I'm happy to inform you all that on 7th of February 2026, the Internal Audit Standards Board and then the Council, of course, has passed a new definition of the internal audit. And now in the new definition of internal audit, advisory services has been included, which was not there earlier. Earlier, internal audit was considered only basically checking of, historical data and controls. Now advisory services are included. And I do strongly believe that the true value of internal audit today lies not in identifying yesterday's error, but in anticipating tomorrow's risks. That is what is important. Piyush Bhai also talked about third line of defense. Well, internal audit, we do consider that it is the third line of defense, but the management, the business management owns and manages the risks. They remain the first line of defense. The second line being the risk management, compliance, and control functions, which oversee the risk. They are the second line of defense. And our profession, the profession of internal auditors, is the third line of defense because they provide the independent assurance to the board and the audit committee, which the word assurance itself holds tremendous value. And those of us who are in internal audit profession should attach utmost importance to the assurances, and we should not be, under any circumstances, losing our independence. I'm not going into the details of it, but yes, it is true that there is a tectonic shift in the profession from the historical transaction verification and compliance checking to predictive assurance with data analytics and increased focus on risk assessment and on advisory services. And today risks are also different. Today, because of one particular gentleman who's the most powerful, one of the most, perhaps the most powerful human being in the world, somehow we are facing some geopolitical risks which was unheard of and unthinkable till he came into being. So that is a different kind of a risk for all the industries almost. Any industry which is not catering only to the domestic market, and even industries catering to the domestic market also are susceptible to such geopolitical risks. Cyber security risk is another risk which is having tremendous importance, but somehow, my personal opinion, of course, is that in our country, the havoc which cybersecurity risk can play in the lives of the corporates, it is not properly given importance by the top honchos of the corporates also in our country. And of course, the technology driven avenues will also be discussed today, and Roshan is just the right person to discuss on it. There are so many other opportunities which have come up because of the technological changes and the usage of technology. And I keep on saying always that technology can never be a challenge for us, for the professionals, especially for the profession of chartered accountancy, which is the most resilient set of professionals in the world. And it can only provide us more empowerment. And with empowerment will come more opportunities. So let us use technology and empower ourselves and think of whatever developments are happening in technology as an opportunity to use the technology and provide even better services. So tech-enabled assurance, of course, so many tech-enabled assurances are coming in, which the Honorable Speaker will speak about, and I will not dive deep into it. But I will like to say this much, that our profession of internal audit, as the risk evaluators for governance, risk and control, the words itself provides so much of opportunities. The governance checking, the risk assessment, the checking, and all these details again will be deliberated upon by the Honorable Speaker. Friends, I would just like to say this much, that as Abhay said that I should be uttering on that, we in the Internal Audit Standards Board have come up with a new set of internal audit standards, SIA, Standards on Internal Audit. It is divided into 4 sets: 6 standards on core concepts and principles, 9 standards on the actual execution of the internal audit, 3 standards on reporting, and 2 standards on quality control. These are the 20 standards which we have come up with. I will request each and every internal audit professional to kindly follow those standards, because today or tomorrow you will be compelled to follow those standards. Today we have kept it recommendatory, but we are hopeful that very soon the regulators themselves will make them mandatory, if not the institute. And hence, following the standards would not only increase your, the value that you give to the organizations, it will actually help you better your reporting to become better internal auditors. So please follow those standards. We are also coming up with a lot of technical guides. We have already come up with 2. 2 more has been approved by the Internal Audit Standards Board in our last meeting held on 9th of July. And those 2 are already in the public domain for comments. Those of us who are there in the internal audit profession, and for others also, I will request them to go through the standards and give your comments if you have any, so that we can evaluate the comments. If necessary, we can make the necessary changes in the technical guides and then can publish the technical guides. These 2 technical guides are one on internal audit of live fish owners companies, and the other is on internal audit of upstream oil companies, oil and gas companies upstream. So these 2 technical guides are already there. Kindly provide your comments. And we are coming up with many other technical guides, industry-specific technical guides. We are also coming up with changed syllabus of the internal audit certification course. We have already totally revamped the syllabus of concurrent audit certificate course, and now the concurrent audit certificate course, which has now been rolled out after keeping it on hold for almost 4 months, because we wanted after the 28th of November 2025 new set of master circulars by RBI. We wanted that new course structure and new concurrent audit manual should be prepared. That we have done, completed, and now the new concurrent audit certificate course is already rolled out. And those who are holding the certificate already may also still participate in the course just to, enhance their knowledge on concurrent audit if they are concurrent auditors. And as I said, already we are having 11 industry-specific technical guides for which groups have been formed. If any one of you is interested in contributing to IASB, because you are an expert on some of the industries, please write to IASB or to me personally. We are looking for more and more professionals to collaborate with us to help IASB in coming up with more quality standards and quality technical guides, so that these technical guides can help the internal audit professionals to function and to give better internal audit quality for those particular industries. To end, I would just like to utter this, that the internal auditor of the future will not simply report on risks, but they will help the organizations build resilience. That is the internal auditor of tomorrow. Thank you very, very much, friends. Thanks a ton.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request our faculty for today, CA Roshan Vijay sir, to start with the session.
Chair PDC, CA Abhay Chatterjee, Vice Chair PDC, CA Piyush Chatterjee, our very own CA Ravi Patwaji, Chairman IASB, and Priya, thank you for coordinating this session, and the whole organizing committee who is basically taking care of organizing this session. So I'm really happy, I'm really glad to be here to have this opportunity to address the participants on a topic which is extremely relevant, and most importantly, the foundation of this series, which is named as DNA, Discovering New Avenues. So while discovering new avenues, it's actually surprising to see that internal audit has been found appropriate to discover a new avenue, because this is something which we have been doing predominantly, right? So we have been doing internal audits for quite long, but this DNA series has captured internal audit as well as an area of new opportunity. So that's a wonderful thought, and I must congratulate the PDC for coming up with this extremely important, relevant, and revenue generating area. So definitely we will, once we proceed with this session, we will get to see that what kind of opportunities we are talking about, how we can enable ourselves with use of technology to make internal audits more interesting for the clients also, and for us too. Interesting in terms of the outcome, interesting in terms of the benefits. So that also we will discuss. So ultimately, how internal audit as an area can act as an area for growth and prosperity of the firm and our clients too. So let me make a very honest confession that, and in fact, each one of us who is attending this session should also confess that there has been an unease running through our profession. We are in a very, very uncomfortable situation right now, because client is questioning the existing fee, that what we are charging for internal audit, whether that itself is commensurate to the value we are adding. Whenever we go for increments, they ask for justification, and it is very difficult for us to justify. We just justify by saying that our costs are increasing. But is that an appropriate justification? So ideally, that justification should be based on the benefits which we are bringing further for the client. So that should be justification. But in most cases, we are unable to justify that. Now, one more reason to worry about is the advent of AI, robotic process automation, all these tech tools, which are actually doing a work in seconds, which we were doing in days by deploying multiple manpower. How it is happening? So this is again an area which we feel that has become a significant challenge for us, because even the client is using AI big time. They are using tech tools very frequently. So considering all this, so definitely this is also an area which we worry about. But through this session, I can tell you that we need not worry about all this, because once we proceed with this session, you will get to see that there are a lot of opportunities which are available for us as auditors. And in fact, these AI tools and the regulatory environment, everything is conducive for developing internal audit as an area of expertise, and it can be used for the growth and prosperity of our firm. It's not only that the whole chunk will be taken by the large firms. There is a huge share which is available for even the mid-sized and small firms too. So that we will explore during this session. Then if you just look at the regulations, more companies year on year are coming under the ambit of internal audit threshold. The threshold which has been provided by the Companies Act. So many of the companies year on year, with the increase in their turnover and other criteria of borrowings and all, so they are coming under the ambit of it. The risks are rising definitely with the usage of AI. Cyber security risks are increasing. Even the pertinence of AI, the output of the AI is questionable. Is there an opportunity for us as internal auditors? Lot of services are being outsourced to third parties, service organizations. Whether we have opportunities in that respect as well, that we need to explore. ESG also has come in. Some time back, lot of words of wisdom from all the senior professionals which we heard. They have actually set the tone and context of this session beautifully. So with this background, let us proceed with this session. Let me share the presentation with you. Then I'll take you through what we have for you. And in the next hour, next 2 hours, let me assure you that you will have a lot of insights with you. You will carry a lot of insights from here, which will help you significantly in developing internal audit as a function for you, for your firm. Just allow me a moment, please. Let me just share the PPT. Hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Now see what we will gain with today's session, how we will proceed. First, I will discuss with you a map of the opportunities available. What are the opportunities available? How that demand is getting generated for internal audit? Different mandates are there which are associated with internal audit. There are certain sectors which looks highly promising from internal audit perspective, from the regulatory perspective, because there have been changes in regulations of late. There are service lines which are, even though not exactly internal audit, but associated with it. If we develop internal audit practice, definitely we can explore those service lines as well. There are a lot of branches from internal audit that also we will discuss. We will also discuss that as till now, we have considered internal audit as a compliance checklist only, and even the client has the same perspective that we are just compliance checkers. But now the expectations the client has from us and how we can meet those expectations is a question. So right now, from some time back, even Ravi Patwaji and even Abhay Chatterjee talked about that we just cannot report on exceptions. Rather, we should move towards becoming advisors to the company. So ultimately, the ultimate goal is that we need to find a seat in the board. We need to earn that seat, that every decision making in the organization, we should also be a part of that decision making process. So we have to earn that seat in the board. So expectations from the management has increased multifold, but the pace at which we are growing, the pace at which we are using tech, that is not aligned with the expectations. And there comes the reason why people are not ready to pay us that premium which we deserve. So, but for deserving that premium, definitely there are a lot of areas where we need to work on, where we need to equip ourselves. Now, then we will discuss a tech starter kit. I will discuss with you, which will have some practical tools and analytics which you can use. We will just touch upon it. We cannot go in detail in that. We'll just discuss about it. What are the tools available which you can use? And it's not necessary that for using those tools you need to spend a huge money. It's not necessary. There are a lot of tools available which are free. So it's most important that first we use certain tools as pilot on pilot projects. Then if we get comfortable with it, then only we start using it and start investing on it. But there are a lot of tools which we can use for free to start with. Then next we will discuss about the AI point of view, how clients are using AI, how we can use AI, how we can check how clients are using AI, whether whether the output which is being generated by usage of AI at the client place, whether that is appropriate, accurate, complete or not. So how we check that also we will discuss. Then we will discuss about how to win a work of internal audit, what qualities are required, how a proposal to be prepared, what should be the perspective while preparing the proposal. That we will discuss. And finally, I will give you a 90-day plan for you and your firm, what concrete steps you need to take to build a great internal audit practice, which will be unique, which will be a very unique experience for you. So please spend these 2 hours with me to see how we can achieve this by implementing this 90-day plan. So then we will discuss about the case, the internal audit, why now we have to change ourselves, why now we have to change the way we have been working till now. We will talk about the emerging opportunities where the work is growing. And this is the most important aspect, that till now we have been policemen. Sometime back, one of the senior professional was talking about that till now we were historians, we used to work on historical data. But now we need to become the advisors. We need to become the predictive analysts to be able to add value, to be able to meet expectations of clients. Then we will discuss about tech-enabled assurance, what data analytics tools we can use, what AI tools we can use, winning and delivering, this we discussed, and finally, to make it real, that 90-day plan we will discuss about. Now, there are 4 forces which are expanding the internal audit mandate. What are those four forces? The first one is regulation. If you are able to recollect, for NBFCs and urban cooperative banks, there one regulation has come in which relates to risk-based internal audit, RBIA framework, which has been issued by RBI. So that opens a gate of opportunity for us in terms of doing internal audits in NBFC and urban cooperative banks. So definitely there is a huge opportunity for us as internal auditors. So that also we will discuss. So regulatory changes, and in fact, as I discussed some time back, that many companies are coming under the ambit of applicability of internal audit, considering the threshold which has been set. So that also opens a lot of gates for us through which we can explore the opportunities in internal audit. So statutory and sectoral mandates keep widening the population that must have internal audits. So regulation we need to keep tap on to see that where opportunities are lying. Then second force which is driving this internal audit function is the fraud, cyber security threats, third party, the service organizations to which the many organizations are outsourcing their work, and ESG related exposures. So all these are opening gates for us, are providing opportunities to us to enhance our internal audit practice. Then the digital space, where majority of the companies after reaching a scale, they go for ERP software, and even the smaller businesses, Tally ERP is also there. But as soon as a company achieves a turnover of say 200 crores, 300 crores, they definitely go for a bigger ARP, a more prominent ERP. So when ERP is there, definitely there are risks associated with it. There are standard sets of reports which are generated from ERP. To that extent, still we can have that comfort. But wherever customizations have been done in the software, that definitely needs an auditor to check whether the outcome which is reflecting in the report and the data which has been captured through which that data has processed to become a report, whether that is appropriate or not. So there comes the requirement of an auditor. So that also forms part of the internal audit function. Then cloud. So definitely these days, majority of the data is on cloud. The physical servers has gone down significantly. And automation create data. So now everyone would agree here that data is being generated at a significant pace now. We are in the era of overload of data. So significant data is being generated by the tools, softwares which are being used by the clients. So significant data is there, but the corresponding controls which should be there to manage that data, are those controls there? Are they matching the pace of data generation? Let me tell you frankly that practically it doesn't happen that way. The pace of data generation is surpassing the pace of the controls. So implementing a control is taking time, but generation of data is not taking time. So there has been a significant gap between the data generation and the corresponding controls. So there lies the opportunity for us as internal auditors and for associated lines which are there along with the internal audit function. Then we will discuss about the scrutiny. What happens these days? I'm sure that many of us do attend audit committee meetings. Many of us face independent directors. So we are the strongest line of defense for them too. Let me tell you that for audit committees, for independent directors, we are the strongest line of defense. They are looking up to us. Our inputs matter a lot for them because they know that we go in depth, we understand the business, we understand its processes well, we spend a significant time on the client. So considering all that, they are looking forward to insights and inputs from our end as part of the internal audit reporting to the audit committees. So regarding that too, if we are able to make a mark in an audit committee with some very good observations, then let me tell you, there is no doubt that we can command that premium too. So basically till now, it was internal audit function was considered to be a nice to have function, but now over the time, it has become a board level expectation. So that's the reason even companies, even their boards, even the TCWG, everyone wants to have a very, very robust internal audit function in place. And there has been a significant gap from the perspective of the supply too. The supply of quality internal auditors is really low. That is the reason why majority of those work in the larger or mid-sized organizations are being taken away by larger firms instead of the smaller and mid-sized firms. And one thing also I would like to add here. So for statutory audit, definitely the companies have a mandate. They have pressure from the investors also. They have pressure from the other stakeholders too, to keep very renowned firms as their statutory auditors. But that's not exactly the case in case of internal audits. In internal audits, even we as mid-sized firm, even I am a partner in a mid-sized firm. So we as mid-sized firms and small firms have this significant opportunity to get into this domain and make our mark. What is the differentiator? The differentiator is that we can grow by diving deep into a sector, into an industry, rather than going wide. Just increasing the domains, increasing the areas in which work may not help us. But if we dive deep into a sector and create an expertise in that sector, then let me tell you, everyone values it. Even the clients would be happier to give us the work instead of going for a larger firm. So now, this is just the regulatory requirement that who must have the internal audit. We all are aware of it, that section 138 speaks about, read with rule 13, that every listed company has to have that internal audit function. And for unlisted public company, thresholds have been given for paid up capital, turnover, borrowings, or outstanding deposits. And for private company also, thresholds are given for in terms of turnover and borrowings. So we all are aware of that. So this I am not getting into detail. And who can be appointed as an internal auditor? A chartered accountant. He may be in practice, he may not be not. He may be not, or a cost accountant, or such other professional as the board decides, as an individual, firm, or body corporate. But practically speaking, this opportunity is the most significant for us as chartered accountant professionals. Now, sectoral mandates also has multiplied the internal audit universe, has multiplied the requirement of internal audits. If you refer to the SEBI LODR regulations, audit committee is required to review the adequacy and effectiveness of the internal audit function. How it has been structured, how it has been staffed, whether it is adequate or not, and whether the coverage of internal audit itself is adequate or not, whether it is covering all the key processes of the organization or not. So that assessment is the responsibility of the audit committee, and this particular requirement has been casted on them by SEBI LODR regulations. Similarly, some time back I talked about risk-based internal audit framework, which has been mandated by RBI for larger NBFCs and urban cooperative banks. So even in this case, this requirement also has opened opportunities for us, and definitely we can explore that if we are able to create that expertise in the domain of NBFCs and urban cooperative banks. Similarly, IRDAI, insurance, PFRDA, pension funds, and other regulators, there also requirement of internal audit and concurrent audit have been prescribed. Even for GST, cost records, industry codes, so there also we have associated lines of opportunities which are associated with internal audit somehow, that we can conduct health checks, cost audit, and sector regulations open, which can provide us recurring assurance work. Now, we all must be aware of what we mean by internal financial controls. So every organization is required to have internal financial controls in place. So through regulation also that has been mandated, that responsibility has been casted on the management, and to report on that responsibility has been casted on the statutory auditor. So the internal financial controls should be designed in such a way, and not only designed, those have to be monitored and maintained too, in such a way that it is able to address all the risk of material misstatements. There should not be any risk of material misstatements when it comes to internal financial controls. It has to be designed in such a way. So section 143 requires the statutory auditor report on the adequacy and operating effectiveness of internal financial controls. This we are aware of. Whether the internal financial controls over financial reporting, those are adequate or not in the organization, and whether those are operating effectively throughout the year or not. So this requirement has been casted on the statutory auditor to report on. Similarly, section 134 deals with design and maintenance of those controls on the management and board. So management and board has been made responsible for designing and maintenance of those controls. So whichever significant risk areas are there, so those risk areas to be identified and corresponding controls needs to be designed and implemented. So that responsibility has been casted on the management and the board. Once the internal financial controls have been designed and implemented by the management in consultation with the board, then again there comes the requirement of testing those controls, whether those are operating effectively or not. So every year, the statutory auditor expects from the internal auditor that they report on the internal financial controls, whether they have been operating effectively or not. So somewhere that also provides us an opportunity as internal auditors to charge separately for assessment of internal financial controls. So if we test internal financial controls, that can definitely be a part of the internal audit mandate itself, or maybe we are able to charge it separately too. So it depends on the arrangement we have with the client. And what happens? This is a recurring engagement. Year on year, it has to be done. Year on year, this requirement shall be placed by the statutory auditor. So every year, we can charge this sum for review and testing of internal financial controls from the client. So this is a recurring revenue generating area for us. Now, why did I say that small and mid-sized firms are perfectly placed for generating significant revenues from internal audit? So as I discussed that there are thousands of companies which have crossed or which are crossing section 138 thresholds, which we discussed in the previous slides. And the market is highly underserved with the quality internal auditors. So it's not necessary for us as internal auditor to be able to gain expertise in all the industries. Even in one industry, if you take just automobile industry, so there are original equipment manufacturers in that industry. There are dealerships in that industry, and you know how many dealers, how many brands are there. There will be thousands, will be an understatement. There will be lakhs of dealers across India for different brands in automobile. And every dealer is working in a similar way. Every dealer has to follow the same processes. If we are able to gain that expertise in doing internal audit in dealerships, and if we are able to replicate that model to other dealerships too, that itself is a significant market for us in terms of internal audit. So this is just one segment in automobile industry. So even if we take expertise in one segment, then also we can market it. Because see, if you go to a meeting for pitching internal audit, so definitely if you ask right questions, if you are able to ask them their pain points, if you are able to take out their pain points from them, if you are able to demonstrate that you have knowledge in this area, you know this industry really well, you know their pain points. So that itself, through that, you can demonstrate that yes, we know your world really well, we know your pain points, we know how to take care of it. Then definitely, undoubtedly, they will be giving work to you. And let me tell you that I am also in this profession for the past 23, 24 years. And I have been doing internal audits all through, definitely stat audits and other line of areas too. But internal audit has been my forte. And I'm telling you, we work at most in maybe 10 to 12 segments in which we have our clients. But wherever we are doing our work, we are trying to get that in-depth knowledge of that industry so that we can replicate the same model to the other clients in the same industry. So if we actually want to compete with the larger firms, we cannot compete by increasing the width of our areas. Rather, we can compete only by getting into more and more depth of that industry. If we go deep into an industry, we will definitely have hands-on experience, hands-on knowledge of that industry, and then only we will be able to add value to the client. That is one aspect. And the other aspect is if we are able to couple our knowledge with a bit of technology, let me tell you that we can easily compete with the larger firms. And people will be more than happy to give that work to even the smaller firms. Not every client has fancy of brands, not every company. So those can be our targets, those can be our opportunities. And what they expect from their internal auditors, that the engagement should be partner led. And when we talk about mid-sized and smaller firms, partners are definitely in very, very frequent uh, engagement with the company's owners. They interact with them very frequently, and they find them available in need. So every mid-market client wants wants a partner who is present when they need them, who is agile, proactive, and who is affordable too. Right? So there is a significant gap between the fees charged by the larger firms and the fees charged by the smaller firms. So definitely there can be a midway if we are able to provide the same quality of service with on affordable prices. So there lies the opportunity for us. Then relationship also doesn't matter a lot. In case of smaller and mid-sized firms, that is the very strength where we have very close relationship with the client, where he can consider us as our advisor, where he can consider us in his decision making process. So that relationship management also works very, very effectively in terms of generation of internal audit work. So till now, we have always thought that the big firms methodology which they follow is very different from what we do. Definitely what they are doing, that is based on years of research, that is based on years of investment on tech tools, years of investing on people. So that is the reason why they have very robust methodology. But in these days, when technology is actually tech and data, both are acting as equalizer. So even the data and tech which is available for larger firms, the same is available for us too at a very, very manageable cost. So that is a great equalizer these days. So what happens, as we discussed, that owners and CFOs of growing companies, what they value proximity, that whom they can share their problems with, who are highly responsive, and who have the robust sector understanding rather than going to a global brand. Definitely for stat audits, they go for global brands, but for internal audits, they definitely look for these attributes. Now, a focused firm. Which firm is a focused firm? A focused firm is the one who has in-depth knowledge of that particular sector or industry, who can offer partner-led attention, right? Because in case of larger firms, they pay most of their attention to their large accounts, which are very large. But for mid-sized, mid-segment entities, definitely we can be quite focused, but maybe large firms may not be that focused. But what most important aspect which we will be covering in subsequent slides too, that we need to add the use of technology, and we need to follow the standards on internal audit. Sometime back, Ravi Patwaji was talking about the SIAs. I'm telling you, those have been drafted really well. Lot of work is being done by ISB on that. So we definitely need to map our procedures which we are doing on any internal audit with the SIAs. If we map that, I'm telling you, we will be able to identify the lacunas, the gaps, which we are actually not doing in our existing internal audits. And if we are able to identify that those gaps, definitely we can work around it. So now we will talk about the emerging opportunities where the work is growing. See, first and foremost, operational and process audit. Now, let me share that in one of our manufacturing clients, which is into edible oil, edible oil manufacturing, very one of the large clients in Eastern India. So for them, we have been doing the internal audit for quite long. Till now, our major focus was on financial and compliance side, as we do mostly on most of the internal audits. But of late, we deployed one industry expert in our team who had significant experience of the same industry. And let me tell you that in just a span of 3 to 4 months, he has been able to create a significant value for the client. We have been able to do that just because he understands the ins and outs of that organization, of that industry. What could go wrong, he understands that. And majority of those savings are coming from operations and not from finance and compliance. So till now, we were focusing on something where the benefit was not visible, where the opportunity for improvement was not visible. But when we actually got into the operations, when we actually understood the process, operational processes, then we have been able to identify the areas where we could actually add value. And through that, we have been able to create a niche for ourselves in that industry. So this is just one example that getting into the process, getting into the operations is the key in internal audits. If we restrict ourselves only to financial and compliance aspects, let me tell you, it will be only a checklist based internal audit, which is no more valued by the client. What they need from us, they need insights from operational perspective too. And operations is something which actually derives the savings, whether on the cost side or on the revenue side. Then second opportunity is in terms of internal financial controls and internal control over financial reporting and risk control metrics reviews. So as I talked some time back to that, there is a huge opportunity in case of internal financial controls, ICFR, and definitely a part of that is risk control matrices. So designing that, I have been doing that work for quite some time. I've developed internal financial control documentation and testing for many clients. And let me tell you, they pay quite well for that, because this is an area which is new to the mid-sized organizations. They are not used to working under the ambit or with the internal financial control documentation. So, and they do not have any internal capability to create those documents internally. So there they definitely need professional help. And we are the people who can actually help them in doing that. So internal financial controls, designing, testing, and then finally, based whatever gaps we are able to identify, how to remediate those gaps. So this is also again one area which can bear significant fruits for us. Then forensic and fraud reviews. Definitely for getting impaneled as a forensic expert, we need to be FAFD certified, and we need to impanel ourselves with the banks and other organizations similarly. But let me tell you, if we are good internal auditors, there is a high probability that we will be good forensic auditors too. Why I'm saying so? Because if we are good internal auditors, we will be able to identify the red flags. Then how to investigate it further, that also we are aware as internal auditors. But definitely there are certain other aspects of a forensic auditor, which the quality of which we need to imbibe in ourselves through training, through attending courses, and by doing that work practically. But if we are good internal auditors, there is a high probability that we will be good forensic auditors too. Then fourth area, which is highly promising, is IT, cyber, and ERP assurance. So as a mid-sized firm, we used to never, when I was in a big four, so there we had a capability of doing ITGC, IT general controls testing and all. But since I came into practice, so even though that was always in the back of my mind that I need to set up that practice too, that we should be able to do ITGC testing too. But unfortunately, we could not do it for quite long. But of late, we have started using doing ITGC testing as well. And it's not that difficult to do. It's just that it's just a step ahead, which we need to take as a firm. So IT general controls testing, which includes access controls, disaster recovery mechanism, which include backup procedures, right? So master modifications. So all those are covered as part of this ITGC testing. So this is also again one area which is associated with internal audit, not exactly internal audit, but somewhere it is related to that. Ravi Bhatwaji talked about cyber security threats. This is again a niche area where we can, through which significant value can be added to a client, because these days the tools, the softwares are being used in numbers, and every software somewhere, and when we are using internet so prevalently, then definitely it comes with a significant risk of cyber security. So how to cater to that? What areas are surrounding that which can actually help an organization to protect itself from cyber security? So that is again one area which can act as a catalyst in a firm's growth. And ERP assurance. So even ERPs, we discussed about that wherever there are significant customization in the ERP, so those customization needs to be looked into, those needs to be tested by someone. So that is again an opportunity for us as internal auditors. Then ESG, this is a in term. So we have been talking about it a lot these days. So BRSR compliance, ESG, and sustainability. So this is again one area which looks very promising. As of now, in India, it has not it has not taken a place which it should have been. But of late, we have seen that lot of thrust is being given to ESG compliance too. So this is again one area which needs our focus on. Then third party and vendor risk. So when I talked about outsourcing, say for example, an organization has outsourced payroll to another organization, another service organization. Say the procure to pay process, the review of that process has been outsourced to some other organization. So whether that organization is fulfilling its duties properly or not, whether the controls which have been implemented in that service organization, whether those are adequate and appropriate or not, that again is a matter of audit. So that again provides us an opportunity to audit the service organization. Then vendor risk. Say we have taken manpower from another vendor, contractual manpower we have taken, but whether that contractor is complying with the requirements, regulatory requirements or not, that again needs testing, that again needs compliance check. So there also is an opportunity which lies for us as internal auditors. So four service lines where demand is huge but supply is very thin. We discussed about it, risk-based internal audit, and more specifically in case of NBFCs where RBIA has been brought in. So there is a significant opportunity for us, ESG and BRSR, since it is a new area, so not many people are working on it as of now. So we can definitely get the advantage of an early mover. Then cyber and data privacy reviews. So again, with the advent of this TPDP Act and similar threats which are there in terms of cyber security and data privacy. So this again is an area which can provide us ample opportunities to work on. Then continuous audit. Continuous auditing is a very interesting concept which we all must understand. So continuous auditing is nothing but, even though we are not auditing any entity physically, but the tool which we are using is auditing an entity on a continuous basis. So how does it work? Let me give you an example. Say a client is using SAP software. We want to check whether we want to check certain aspects. Say for example, the aging of all the clearing accounts. Whatever items are lying in the clearing account, we want to review the aging, and we want the software to throw exceptions to us. So a patch can be developed. So this is just one example. Similarly, you can have umpteen parameters there for throwing exceptions. So if you install that patch, if the client allows, so if that patch is embedded to the system itself, so even though our team is not working there physically, but since parameters have been set there, so through the use of technology, it will keep on making a repository of exceptions. It will directly review each and every transaction to see whether it is an exception or not. And whatever parameters we have set as part of that patch, so it will pick those exceptions and it will create a repository for us, which will be an audit repository. So whenever we go after the quarter end or half year end, or maybe on a monthly basis, so then we can download the report of those exceptions and we can have a detailed look on that. So it will save significant time for us. So what it does, when we do internal audit, we may not be able to check 100% of the population. We will resort to the sampling. But today's client expectation is that if you are doing internal audit, and after we have completed the audit, after the year end, the statutory auditor identifies a problem that here TDS was not deducted, but still you did not report. And when we say that we have checked on sample basis only, then client does not get that comfort on the internal audit. They will raise questions on that. Even though you have checked, but still this was not identified, then why we have kept this internal audit function? Why do we need it? So there the problem lies with the fact that we are doing sample testing. But through continuous auditing, it is possible to check 100% of the population rather than resorting to the samples. So this is just an example. Similarly, a lot of parameters can be set through which continuous audit can help us significantly in reducing our resources, and it may be able to check 100% of the population too. So there are a lot of tools which are there which provide this functionality. And even let me tell you, even clients are using these audit tools internally for getting the repository of exceptions. So it's not only about auditors, even the client is doing it. Now, internal audit demand is most intense in which all areas? In case of manufacturing, the inventory, procurement, plant and production controls needs significant attention. And there, if we are able to justify our role operationally, they are more than happy to give us the engagement of internal audit, because significant savings can be achieved in these areas, whether it be inventory management or the procurements or the plant and production controls. So if we are able to master ourselves in the manufacturing segment of one industry, then also we can replicate the same process to other clients in the same industry, and we can make a mark for ourselves that yes, this particular firm actually does internal audit in our industry. This firm has significant capability in terms of understanding of this industry. So that kind of mark we need to create as internal auditors wherever we go. Then NBFC, BFSI, this we discussed that RBIA framework is there and significant opportunities are there on NBFC space. What happens in NBFC, we all are aware that there is a limit to number of statutory audits, but fortunately, till now there is no limit to internal audits of NBFCs. So again, this is a good opportunity. Let me tell you that if we get an expertise in the NBFC domain, we can actually generate good revenues from internal audit perspective. And since RBI and other regulatory agencies are quite serious about these compliances and the operations of these NBFCs and BFSIs, so it becomes pertinent for them to have good internal auditors in place who are able to guide the management, who are able to identify the exceptions and report. Then real estate and infra, again, this is also a very big segment. Here also the opportunity is quite high when it comes to project cost, and RERA laws is there. RERA law is there, so there also RERA experts are valued a lot. And contractor billing, that is always a pain area which we have seen, because we also have few clients where we deal with contractor billing, and let me tell you that significant savings can be achieved in contractor billing, that we have seen. Then retail and e-commerce, there also opportunity is significantly high in terms of revenue assurance. So when we talk about Flipkart, when we talk about Zepto, or likewise many players, Swiggy, Zomato, so number of transactions is huge. So even 1 paisa of revenue mismatch in each transaction can cost them crores. So revenue assurance is a big area for them where they need comfort on. Then logistics, if we are able to identify efficiencies in their logistics function, because e-commerce is something where we order goods, we get the goods, we return them, so everywhere logistics is involved. And if we are able to guide them on that how you can reduce this logistics cost, that can save them significant money. Then returns fraud, that returns I was talking about, that how they are controlling that used products are not returned, how they are controlling that replacement products are not returned, so how they are controlling the returns fraud. So this is also a very big pain area for all the retail and e-commerce players. So there also they want a hand who will be able to help them identify those, help them control that. Then healthcare and pharma, billing, regulatory, supply chain integrity. This is a growing area where we can explore internal audit opportunities and similar opportunities, and agri and commodities. On this space, especially in case of agrochemicals and all, agrochemicals, seeds business and all, we also do a lot of internal audits, and I'm telling you, huge savings can be achieved in that segment. In terms of payment or yield, or procurement leakage. So these are just few areas. Definitely there may be umpteen areas where economies can be achieved, but these are just indicative areas which are actually pain points for these industries. And as internal auditors, we have a huge demand in these areas. Now, as I discussed some time back, that how a small and mid firm can win by going deep and not wide. So just by increasing the number of domains may not help us. But if we go deep into a domain, then definitely it can help us and we will be able to compete even with the larger firms. So first point, if you refer to pick a sector and own it. If we pick a sector, pick it in such a way, create such an expertise of that sector that you should actually own it. And when we talk with the client and when we present to the client, we should be able to give such insights to the client that even he was not aware. Those are the new insights to them. We should have the understanding of the industry also. We should be able to the benchmarking of the entity with other entities in that industry. We should give them insightful thoughts which they will definitely value. So we need to become a firm who knows a particular industry, whether it relates to plywood or broiler integration or NBFC. We should know it inside out. And again, I'm reiterating that depth beats breadth. Lead with technology. So this is again very important, that till now the work which we were doing for with 10 people, now the same work can be done by just 3 people, and maybe the work which we were doing in 10 days, the same work can be done maybe in half an hour if we use tools like Power Query, Power BI for data visualization, for data analytics, even large language models, which tools like Claude, ChatGPT. So those tools are giving us opportunity to be aligned with even the larger firms. So how to use those tools, knowing that becomes extremely important. Third, we need to stand on the standards. Standards are the same for all. It's same for the larger firms, it's same for us. It's just that how much time we spend on understanding those standards. How much time we are spending on mapping our procedures with what is required by the standard, in identifying what are the gaps and lacunas which are there in our current procedures, how to improve on that, how to climb up the ladder of audit maturity. So that is something which can be a differentiator, and we need to stand on the standards. And the most important is that we need to be a partner in the room for the client. We should not act as internal auditor, rather we should seem to them as an advisor whom they can rely on for taking any advice, for helping them in decision making also. So that is most important. And how that can happen only it can happen if you have the in-depth industry experience. So we need to become a partner rather than a policeman. So especially the Indian police, as it is quite known that police comes after the issue has happened, right? So for fact finding why it has happened and all, they come after them. But now the expectation of the client from us is that we need to be early warning system for them. So before happening of an event, before happening of an untoward incident, unwarranted incident, they don't like any surprises these days. So we should be able to proactively tell them that if you do not plug in this control gap, then definitely this may result in a leakage. So that kind of insight they are looking from us. So three stages of an internal audit function. The first stage is policeman, who catches the errors and non-compliance after the fact. Findings are transactional. So at each transaction level, we are trying to find issues. And again, we are doing that on sample basis, because covering 100% of the population is quite impossible if we are doing that manually without the use of tech. And its value is limited to detection only. Now what happens, there are two ways of looking at it. One is we are trying to detect the issues, but that does not suffice. What is required is that upon detection, we should go into the root cause of it. Why it has happened? Where was the gap? Is there any control lacuna in the system? Once that gap has been identified, that has to be plugged in by an adequate control. Whether that control is an automated control or a manual control, as the case may be. But that control gap has to be plugged in. Then through detection, what we did, we have implemented a preventive control. So that is what managements expect from us. Then we have to act as an advisor who is able to, and sometime back I am really happy that Ravi Patwaji explained that the definition of internal audit is going to change. So now the definition will include the advisor, that internal auditor is an advisor also. That advisory function also becomes part of the internal audit itself. So this is a great news for us, and it will definitely create a lot more opportunities for us. So here, as advisor, we have to assess the risk. We have to assess the control design, whether the control designed will be able to address the risk or not, will be able to mitigate the risk or not, or whether it will mitigate the risk partially. So that we need to assess, and accordingly we need to recommend the improvements to the client. So this is the second stage, that client starts to prevent and not just detect. This is the second stage. And the last stage, which is the most important, and this is where the client expectation lies. That is, we should act as business partners, where we are able to connect the controls to the strategy of the client in terms of their cost and in terms of their growth. So we should be able to, we have so robust understanding of their business that we are trying to ensure such controls in the organization which are strategically important for the client, which would help them in reducing their cost, optimizing their cost, not reducing, optimizing their cost, and expediting their growth. We should become a trusted voice in the boardroom. So this is the most important statement that I would like to make today, that the purpose is to become a trusted voice in the boardroom. That trust will come only when we are thorough with the understanding of the industry, understanding of the client, and we follow the standards on internal audit. We use the tech so that we are able to guide the client also, that through the use of tech, how they can expedite their processes, how they can expedite their growth. Compliance auditor. So same engagement can be done in two different ways by two different auditors. If the auditor is a compliance auditor. What he will do? He will test against a fixed checklist. So he has a checklist that these items needs to be tested as part of the internal audit function. Whatever is there in the letter of engagement, we just listed down all those areas and we start testing those. And for each area, again, they have a checklist, fixed checklist, which is not at all dynamic, that is static checklist, and that is being used year on year by the internal auditor. Secondly, what they do, they report on exceptions and errors. So whatever exceptions they come in course of their audit, they come to, and the errors, so they report that. So exceptions reporting is done by the compliance auditor. They focus on what went wrong. They focus on that. They do their testing on sample based testing. They do their recommendations are generally generic. That, say for example, there is no maker checker control in case of bank reconciliation statement. They will say that yes, there should be a process where there should be maker checker control in BRS. But actually why it is happening, whether that control was laid down also or not, whether it has been laid down but not followed, what is the exact case, they need to get into that to actually understand the root cause of it. And then only they should make a recommendation rather than making generic recommendations seen as a cost to be minimized. So basically, for compliance auditor, the organization will always think of reducing their cost or keeping the internal audit cost at minimum. They are not ready to pay any premium. But when it comes to value adding auditor, they test against the client's key risks. So first, they are well aware of what are the key risks in this industry, what are the key risks in this client. So those risks are well identified. The completeness of those risks have been assured. Then based on that, they do their testing. So they are well aware which risks are significant, which risks are not that significant, and accordingly they devise their procedures. This is first. Then secondly, they quantify the impact in every case. So whatever the observations they come up with, they will try to quantify it in amounts. This is extremely important. I have seen many internal audit reports where the statements are very generic and has not been quantified. So that will not create an impact in the mind of the client. So quantification is extremely important for each of the observation. There may be certain observation which are process level improvements, and there may not be possible that we will be able to quantify it. That is okay, no problem at all. But wherever quantification is possible, that has to be done. The auditor will also explain why and how to prevent it. He will not just detect the exception. He will also exactly say why it has happened, what was the modus operandi, what actually went wrong, and how to prevent it in future. What control is required to be implemented to prevent it? What change in the control needs to be done? Is any change in design of the control is required? So that also he will explain in his report. Then his working will be analytics driven. It will not just a sample testing. He will use tech tools so that to ensure that wherever possible, he will do the 100% coverage. His recommendations will be very specific and costed. So this is very important to understand that every recommendation which we give should be very specific, it should not be generic, and we need to also determine the cost involved in implementing that recommendation if it is quantifiable. If that is done, then it will be very clear to the management and the TCWG that yes, this is the cost which is involved in this, and what benefit will be deriving. That cost benefit analysis they will be able to do immediately, and they will be in a position to take the decision accordingly. So that will help them significantly in decision making. Otherwise, it will just remain in the file, documented observation, but no action they will be able to take on that. Seen as an investment that pays back. So value adding auditors are considered as an investment. The payment to them is considered as an investment because they are well aware that whatever we are paying to them, they will return to us in multiples. Right? So how do we do that? How to demonstrate that yes, we have made significant savings for you? So there has to be a demonstrable value. So we need to create a value scorecard whenever we issue an audit report, internal audit report. We will have to create one value scorecard where whatever observations we have come with, and if those have been quantified, so those observations with amounts we will capture there, and we will say that this is the demonstrable value which we have created for you in as part of our internal audit, and this is these many multiples of our internal audit fee. So if that input goes to the audit committee, that input goes to the management, then definitely they will not be in a position to contradict to whatever we say. Definitely whatever values we'll be putting here, that should be well confirmed with the client, their process owners. That confirmation is very much important. Unless and until the values which we are putting in the presentation have been discussed with the process owners and agreed with them, then it will definitely create a problem for us in justifying that. And SIA framework, Ravi Patwaji was talking about it. So key concept standards are there. How to manage the IA function, that is there. And how to conduct an assignment, how to plan it, how to gather evidences, how to document what we have done, what should be the review procedure, and how to communicate and report our results. So that guidance is very nicely captured in the standards of internal audit. So definitely, if you go to our ICAI website, in resources, you will definitely get the standards for your usage. Now, how to plan the audit around risk? What happens? The biggest mistake which we do is referring to the just last year plan. So whatever program we had prepared for internal audit in the last year, same plan we carry forward. But ideally, we must understand that risk changes with time. Last year, there may be some area which was priority for us, that may not be a priority in this term, rather some other area may be a priority. So we need to actually understand where the major risk lies. There may be certain common areas where risk will always be there. So those common areas definitely will have to cover as part of our internal audit function. We will have to focus on that. But in terms of other areas, we need to identify which key process holds the highest level of risk in this term. And that is the reason why the internal audit program should be highly dynamic. It should not be static at all. So first step is that we need to build the risk universe. We have to map every process, every location which we are covering in that entity as part of the internal audit function. That risk universe we have to create. What does this risk universe talk about? That whatever risk may happen even in a distant scenario, all those risks have to be captured at one place, even small or big. And then classification of risk needs to be done, that whether it is a significant risk, whether this is a moderate risk, it is a low risk. That classification will follow then. But identification of all the risks, creating that risk universe is extremely important. Then we have to assess and score risk. The rate of likelihood, at what is the rate based on the understanding of their processes. What is the rate of likelihood? Rate of likelihood will depend on what kind of controls they have in place and its impact. In financial terms, what will be its impact? That also implication we need to consider. Then we need to accordingly prioritize our plan. Our efforts should be focused more on the areas of higher risk. Our efforts should be lower on the areas with lower risk. It's as simple as that. Then we need to execute the plan with the use of analytics wherever possible. What tools we can use as part of analytics, that we will discuss in subsequent slides. Then finally, we need to report, but just reporting may not suffice. Every time we are reporting, we have to reassess our findings, and see whether my finding changes the risk which I identified in the risk universe. And we have to go back and see whether the risk which I have identified is appropriate or not based on the finding. So every time we come up with some findings, we need to revisit the risk which we have identified and documented, based on which we have prepared our internal audit plan. The 5C model, this is again very important, that how to write observations which management will act on. So first and foremost is the condition. What is the fact? What is the fact that we need to state that this is the fact, this has happened, which should be evidenced. There has to be proper evidence with you that this fact has actually happened, whether through screenshots or approved documents, whatever. So you should have that evidence, and that evidence should be very, very specific. That fact should be very, very specific. It should not be generalized. Then second is criteria. What should be the policy, control, or benchmark? So this is the fact for which I have the evidence, for which is actually a specific evidence. And for this, what should be the policy, control, or benchmark? Say in terms of policy, they have significant investments in their books, but they don't have any investment policy. That is definitely a control lacuna, big control lacuna. Now, benchmark. Currently, they do not have a hierarchy of approval of investments, that beyond which level the MD has to approve, beyond which level the finance head can take decision, right? So that benchmark has to be documented somewhere. So that is the reason why policy needs to be there. Then third is consequence. It has happened. The fact we have identified, we have seen that there is a robust policy in place or not, robust control is there or not, any benchmark has been fixed there or not. Once that has been seen, then we need to quantify its impact, that if it has happened, what is its impact, what is its consequence. Then we need to further get into the root cause of it, why it has happened. Just looking at the symptom may not suffice. We need to go into the root cause too. And then accordingly, we will give our recommendation, which will be a corrective action, and going forward, that may act as a preventive control, that should act as a preventive control. That should be the way we should give our recommendation. So, and see, sometime back I was talking about that how can we prepare a value scorecard. This is just an example, that this is the way through which we can demonstrate that how much value we have created for you. Like what has been the value driver? Duplicate or excess vendor payments recovered, 18.4 lakhs. GST input credit mismatch identified, contract and pricing leakage plugged, obsolete or slow moving inventory flagged. So all these will either instantly save money for the entity, or maybe if they improve on that process, if they plug in that control gap, they will be able to save money. But definitely, if I have identified and reported, then it becomes a demonstrable value for me. If we are able to show this demonstrable value in form of a table with use of charts, then definitely it will give a fair idea to the management and TCWG that yes, the fees which we are charging as internal auditors, we are returning a lot back. But unless and until we keep a track of the observations which we had given in the last quarter, and we just come up with the new quarter's observation without paying heed to what we have actually done in the previous quarter, so that accumulation needs to happen. So at year end, whenever we go for increment, we can just show the demonstrable value dashboard to them. We can show them this value scorecard, that this is what we have delivered. Data analytics and AI. So we will harp a bit on this subject too, because tech enabled assurance was the topic which can make us a new internal auditor. So for small firms, it is something which is an equalizer. That the technology which is available to larger firm, that is available to us too. So this is something which we should use as a catalyst to our growth. So this is a simple example that if we do manual audit, we may be able to check only 3% of samples or 5% or 10% of the samples. But if we use tech, then we will be in a position to check 100% of it. And in ERP softwares, every item is waiting to be analyzed. It's up to us that how we are analyzing it. If data is there, it is there to be analyzed. Now it's up to us what tools we are using to analyze that data. Whether we are doing data analytics on that data or not, it is up to us. It is up to our process. And client also these days, as I said, that they run a lot of analytics on their business. They use a lot of analytic tools. So when they compare their process with our process, they will always find us outdated, that the internal auditor has not come of age. So that creates definitely a negative impression in their minds. So if they are using it, we should be the first ones using it. And if we actually put in effort on data analytics, that can actually turn our efforts into coverage. The kind of effort we are spending on doing 3% of the sampling, the same effort if we do using if you put in using the data analytics tool, I'm telling you, we can easily test 100% of the population with the same effort. Just that we need to explore it, we need to understand it, we need to use it. What are the 5 layers of tech enabled stack, you may say it? That what are the 5 layers of it, this stack? The first one is artificial intelligence. This we all are aware of, that generative AI is there. So which can help us detect anomalies, which can help us drafting reports. Claude is there, ChatGPT is there, Gemini is there. There are a lot of artificial intelligence tools. Similarly, many other tools are there. There are a lot of automation tools for robotic process automation. Robotic process automation is nothing but if a process is a recurring process, which repeatedly has to be done. For that, a script can be created, which script will run again and again, and it will be highly dynamic. Even though the number of line items increase, even though the number of columns increase, that script will be dynamic enough that it will automatically take care of it. And without any further effort, the RPA will be able to generate the reports for you or analyze the data for you. So for repetitive tasks, robotic process automation is extremely important to be implemented. There are tools which help us do robotic process automation. That also we will discuss. Visualization. So definitely we all are aware of Power BI. We all are aware of Tableau. So these are the tools through which you can make data presentation really good. You can make dashboards through it, which instead of showing loads of Excel sheets to the management, we can just show dashboard which will be self-explanatory, which will be backed by the data. If we just click on those figures, you will go to those Excel sheets from where that has been created. So those data visualization tools also needs to be learned by us. So if and Power BI, Tableau, these are very simple tools. We just need to depute one person from our office, or that responsibility can be owned by us itself, us also, that we will learn how to use Power BI, how to use Power Query, how to use Tableau. So if we do that, and it's quite simple to use, let me tell you, if we actually do that and start using it in our practice, and I'm telling you that sky is the limit for us. Analytics and computer-aided audit techniques, rules, tests, and Benford law analysis over full data. Benford law, I'm not sure whether many of us are aware of it or not, but it is basically based on the concept that uh, the lower digits are 1 to 9. So one will happen for any invoice value or any document value will start from 1. The probability is 47% that it will start from 1. The probability will be a bit lower, maybe in 20s for 2, in 17 18 for 3. So likewise, as we go up, the lowest possibility of a number starting from 9 will be the lowest. The probability will be lowest in that of occurring of that. And historically it has been seen that this law is being used frequently in various analysis, and it has been found to be effective. So this just to give you an idea what is Binford law. Now data foundation, definitely data which we are extracting from the ERP system, that data should be pertinent, that data should be actually clean data, that data should not have layers to it, right? So to ensure that the data capturing what is happening in the system and how it is creating a repository of it and how it is throwing the report, so that process, whether it has been configured in a clean manner or not. We also need to see that some time back I talked about the customization in the software, that whether customization is there or not. So if customization is there, then we need to see that the reporting which is happening from the data capturing level, so whether that reporting is in line with the desired outcome or not. So we may have to test it manually to check, recompute it, or we need to recompute and see the results the report is throwing is correct or not. A tiered toolkit, this is just an example of few softwares which are there. Which softwares are free? So definitely Excel, Power Query, Power BI, Desktop. So these are maybe already owned by you, or these are free. So this you can definitely use in your as a toolkit of internal audit. So purpose-built computer-aided techniques are there, like Caseware Idea, Arbutus, Teammate Analytics. So what you can do through it, that has been documented in the third column. You can just have a look at it. For paucity of time, I'm not getting in detail in these. Then GRC platforms are there, Diligent ACL, Audit Board, Workflow, and RCM tools are there. Then AI assisted tools like generative AI assistants, MindBridge. So there are few tools, but let me tell you, the truth is that 80% of our work is done if we just focus on the first layer, first tier, that is Excel plus Power Query plus Power BI desktop. If we just master ourselves in this, let me tell you, 80% of your job is done. Once you are done with it, then you can move forward to other softwares. But definitely, I'm personally using Claude, and it is a wonderful AI tool which you can use for making much better reports for doing analysis. But please do not use it with a free version, because it may train the AI tools with your confidential data. So it's very important to use the pro version, and unchecking that it will not be able to train the AI models by using your data. So that will ensure that your confidentiality of your data is remains intact. High yield analytics by process. So in which all process, what all tests are finding value? Like duplicate payments you can identify easily through using of tools, vendor employee bank match, split POs by bypassing delegation of authority, round sum, and weekend posting. Say on weekends, we can see that several entries have been passed when the office was closed. Benford law can be applied on invoice values and other values in order to cash credit limit breaches, unusual discounts. So similarly, in other areas, if you see, there are lot of activities which we can use, which we can do through data analytics. So continuous audit we have already talked about. Yeah, this is a general process that we need to plan, execute, report, and communicate. So this is nothing new for us. Right. So see, if you just refer to the tagline, it says govern AI in the audit or it will govern you. So just relying completely on the output of the AI may not serve our purpose. We will have to validate each and every aspect of AI. Whatever outcome it is giving us, whatever output it is giving us, that has to be validated by us. We cannot just blindly rely on it. Mind it that generative AI can be confidently wrong. So you will feel like that it is there. There is a concept of AI hallucination, where AI may throw up. I have personally seen a case where there is no precedent case for a particular matter in income tax, but when I put that matter on AI, it immediately provided me a case study which was not existing. So that is termed as AI hallucination. So we cannot just blindly rely on the output of the AI. We need to validate it. So now clients who are using AI, whether they are using AI by validating the output or not, that is also a matter of audit. So that is again an opportunity for us wherever AI is being used by the client. So how they are using the AI, whether they are exposed to certain risks, whether they are blindly relying on the data of the AI, the analysis which is being done by AI for them, whether that analysis itself is faulty, based on which decision making is happening. So that is again a matter of audit, and that is an opportunity for us as internal auditors too. So a 4-step path to a tech-enabled practice. You just need to skill up one person. Pick your most curious team member. Ask him to master in Excel, Power Query, and Power BI. And it is enough, I'm telling you. We need to build a test library where we can codify 15 to 20 standard analytical tests using the Power Query. So we can codify it. We can reuse them across every client, and it will automatically become an IP for you, for your firm, that we are using these queries for doing these analytical tests. Then accordingly, we will just templatize the data ask, that a standard data request list, whichever ERP the company is using. So a standard data request list will be prepared by us, and that can be easily used or replicated in other engagements too. And similarly, if we are able to see value out of it. If we are able to get a good outcome, that can be replicated even to other clients too. So while approaching a new client, it has to be insight and not a sales pitch. We need to have command of the standards. We need to have that technology edge where we can show a live dashboard or analytical sample to the client to convince them that we are using technology. Then independence, integrity, responsiveness, that we have a partner led team, and our process and approach is to act as a partner rather than a historian for you. Run the first meeting like an auditor, not a vendor. So we need to understand their major pain points, their biggest worries. We need to understand how we can protect their values, how we can offer a risk assessment tool to them, a risk assessment system to them, to make them more, to make their processes and controls more robust. So these are the do's, and there are few don'ts also, that just blabbering about our own firm's history and size, that will not just work. So more we need to be more aware of the client's business and their pain points to get the work. Structure it around the winning proposal. We have to structure it around their outcomes and not your activities. So we need to prepare a proposal based on the client requirements, based on their pain points, and not based on our standard format all the time. Definitely we will have a standard format, but the scope of work, and there will be certain segments which needs to be customized based on the client's requirements. And time based pricing is not always uh, feasible, because it does reward slow work and does not reward the analytics edge. But when it comes to value based pricing, that is definitely looked at positively even by clients too. So this we have already discussed, that we need to have depth, sector wise depth, independence we have discussed. And this is the final 90 days plan which I wanted to discuss with you, that in the day 1 to 30 you have to pick one target sector to go deep in. Say automobile dealership, so that is one target sector which you want to go deep in. You have to skill up one person on Power Query plus Power BI. Draft your standard data request list for that automobile dealership. Map your services to the standards on internal audit framework, that whether any gaps are there or not. If there are any gaps in our procedures, we need to fill up those gaps. Then in the next 30 days, we have to build a 15 to 20 reusable analytics tests. So we have to create certain scripts. And let me tell you, you can use Plot to create those scripts. If you just give a proper prompt, it will throw the script which you can use for doing the analytics test. Then create a one-page value-led proposal template. Then run analytics on one existing client free. So in one of the client, we can use that data analytics tool for free, and we can see its result, whether it is in line with our expectations or not. And then finally, in the last leg, last 30 days, we need to approach two prospects with a diagnostic where we already know about the client, what are their problem areas. Then lead the pitch with your dashboard. We are able to see that what we are going to provide you. Then propose a scoping or risk assessment step and document your methodology and quality file. So basically this is the 90 days plan which you may follow. Definitely there may be variations to it. Definitely you can put in other points also. You can remove some points from here. Whatever seems feasible to you, that you can do. But this is just a journey which you can start from day 1 and go to the day 90 and see the drastic change in the quality of your internal audit. So this is 6 ideas worth remembering. The mandate is widening and small focused firms are perfectly placed to serve it. So there is no dearth of internal audits opportunities. So please remain sure that you have a great future even on internal audit side. We need to move from policeman to partner. We need to map everything to SIA framework and use it as an anchor which can guide us that how to do justice to the role of internal auditor. As I said, that technology is the great equalizer for us. So only Excel, Power Query, and Power BI, only these three things can help you significantly in getting technologically equipped. At least 80% of the work will be done. Then we need to use generative AI to draft and analyze. So mostly we can use the data, the tools like Claude, ChatGPT for drafting, where most of the clerical will be done, work will be done by that. We will just validate it. And for analyzing data also we can use that. But what remains is our judgment, our skepticism, and definitely we need to sign off the report. So that lies with us. Then now we need to prepare ourselves to audit the AI itself, because AI is being prevalently being used by the clients also. So how they are using the AI, whether they are using it appropriately or not, whether they are compromising with their confidential data in process, whether whether the parameters which have been set in the AI itself are faulty, which is giving me which is giving me incorrect reports based on which I am taking decisions. So auditing the AI itself is an opportunity for us now. So that also we need to think about. So after this session, I am almost on the verge of completion, that we need to focus on SIAs. We need to see the literature, which is publications issued by IASB. We need to start using tech enabled. We need to start using and doing tech enabled internal audit. And we need to do the courses if at all required, and various value adding courses we can do to equip ourselves in internal audit. So that's it from my side. So if any queries, I am ready to address your queries.
Yes, sir. We've received a lot of questions from the
Yes.
participant side.
Yes.
So I'll ask one by one, and then you
Yes,
can
yes.
answer it.
Sure.
So the first is that somebody is asking if they're using the AI tools for
Yeah.
working, but they're not sure about the confidentiality and the privacy policy. So it is safe to share the details with AI.
Okay. So as I discussed some time back only, that there is an option in each AI tool. So if you talk about Claude or ChatGPT, there is an option where you can uncheck a box that my data and information shall not be used by the AI tool for training its AI models. If we uncheck that, then our data cannot be used by that AI tool. And that ensures your confidentiality of the data. Hope I'm clear.
Right. The other question is, he's mentioning in ERP assurance, you talked about validating customized solution. Are
Yeah.
you referring to CSVs, the computer system validation of any new projects, CRs, which go to the production system? That is right from the design till go live, whether all processes are followed, audit trails are established, etc.
Yeah. So see what happens. So whenever any customization is done to an ERP system, a blueprint of that customization is created, right? So if we want to check whether that customization, whatever has been done in the system, whether it is in line with the requirements of the standards, whether it is in line with the accounting principles, is there any deviation, is there any problem, or is there any linking of that data from a field which is not appropriate to be linked. So all those aspects can be seen in the customization blueprint. So wherever, and one more aspect is there, that if we do recomputation, say for example, system is generating depreciation calculation and the client has customized depreciation calculation, done some customization on it. Maybe that ERP solution provides that customization option even in depreciation run. So if we run that depreciation, the client may consider including certain aspects in it which may throw wrong results. So if we recompute, if we take the base data and recompute the depreciation ourselves on a sample basis also, then we can see whether the report is reflecting the correct picture or not. So I'm talking about that customization. So both the options are there. We can have a look at the blueprint of the customization which is there, and SOPs are also developed for that. So that SOP needs to be reviewed, and also we can recompute and match the result with what report is reflecting. If any deviations are there, that then root cause analysis is required. Yes. Next query, please.
Yes. How can internal yeah, how can internal auditors move beyond reporting observations and become trusted advisor to management and audit committees?
See what happens, as I discussed in the beginning itself, and even the three professionals we heard from today in the beginning. So everyone was harping on one thing, that we need to have a very robust understanding of the industry and its processes. If we have robust understanding of industry, its operations, what are the major risk areas in that industry, what are the pain points in that industry, what are the revenue leakage areas in that industry, if we are aware of all those, then definitely we will devise our procedures surrounding it. And if we are devising our procedures surrounding it, we will definitely be able to come up with certain observations which can give added insights to the management. If we are able to do that, then definitely that makes us a trusted voice in the boardroom. Whenever we go to the audit committee presenting our internal audit report, with the quality of observations itself, the audit committee, the independent directors, and the other board members will definitely give a lot of respect to us as internal auditors. So that is the way through which we can become trusted advisors to them. And also, we cannot just report on the historical data, as indicated earlier also, that we need to become early warning systems for them, that if anything wrong is about to happen, we should be able to report to them proactively, that if we do not plug this gap, or if we do not take this action, this loss we may incur going forward. So that again is a way through which we can become a trusted advisor for the management. Yes.
Next question is, do you see internal audit evolving into a continuous assurance function rather than a periodic exercise? If so, what changes will this require from professionals?
Yes, big time. Let me tell you, I have been practicing for the past close to 15 years. And in my professional practice, though we started as an indirect tax firm majorly, but now 70% of our revenues is through internal audit. And this is one area which is growing day by day for us. And we have seen that there is a huge opportunity still. But what is required is your industry level understanding. So we need to have in-depth understanding of an industry. So as I said earlier also, you need to identify few industries where you want to make your internal audit practice in, and gather in-depth knowledge of that industry by practically doing work in any of the clients in that industry, and getting into the details of it, how it operates, what are the areas where value can be added. So if those things are done, then definitely I'm telling you that it is a beautiful area. It is a high revenue generating area which can be a basically crown, which can be a diamond in the crown actually for your practice.
Okay. Next is, could you share some examples where internal audit recommendations have led to measurable improvements in governance, operational efficiency, or business performance?
Yes, yes, definitely. So while I was sharing that in one of the edible oil clients, we were able to add a lot of value operationally. So I'll just give one, two examples, what kind of observations we had. See, what happened, uh, they used to import oil, edible oil, palm oil from other countries like Indonesia and all. So while transporting the oil from the foreign country to Indian port, it is transported at a certain temperature. So with the change of the temperature, the volumetric weight of oil also changes. So if it is uh, if it is loaded in the vessel at a particular temperature, but when it arrives at the destination, if the temperature is different, the volumetric weight may differ. So consistently we could identify that we received short material, but the volumetric weight looked to us higher because of the temperature variance. So when we try to identify that how much we have lost in the process just because not maintaining the consistent temperature, that was close to 3.4 crores in just 3 months time. So this is one example. Another example I'll give you, they were using packing material where they were using caps. Packing material dabba was there, so they were using cap on that. So that cap, when we weighed 10 of the caps separately, we saw that one cap was 5 grams, one cap was 4 gram. So different weights were there. When we inquired from them that whether this 4-gram cap, whether this is sufficient enough for carrying the kind of weight you are transporting or you are selling, then they said that yes, in this 4-gram cap also there is no reported damage. Then when we saw the purchase order for that, for caps which was ordered in millions and numbers, huge numbers, then we saw that we are paying for 5-gram caps. Then when 4-gram cap itself is sufficient and no reported damage is there, why we are procuring 5-gram caps? So this was also one of the observations. So similarly, there were more than 100 such observations which we could identify. And each of those observations were saving a significant cost for the entity and on a recurring basis. Hope I am able to make you clear on this.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
For value added internal audit, how industry, macro, and microeconomics environment could be integrated with the help of technology to create an impact. Please explain with a live example, if any.
Can you just repeat the question? I lost it in between.
For value added internal audit, how industry, macro, and microeconomics environment could be integrated with the help of technology to create an impact.
Okay. So see, this question, I think this seems to be a very generic question to me. So I would have preferred if you would have asked a specific question. So definitely every macro factor or micro factor in economy may have a significant impact on an organization. And when it will have an impact on the organization, then definitely it will have impact on the procedures of internal audit too. Take an example during COVID. So that was definitely a macro aspect, macro level issue, and it had impacted organizations adversely, many organizations, and there were organizations who earned significantly during that period. So as part of the internal audit process, we should be aware of the factors, global factors, the micro factors, which may have a significant impact on the entity. We should be aware of that. Whether those can be automated through use of tech or not, that is again a question. What kind of impact we are, what kind of economical disadvantage or advantage we are looking at. So that depends. So based on your question, definitely it may have a significant impact on the way we are doing internal audit. We should be aware of the macro factors, micro factors of economy, economical changes we must be aware of. Take an example of the Strait of Hormuz, where ships are stuck, oil is not coming in, so fuel cost has gone up significantly. So it may have a going concern for organizations also. So see, these macro factors and even micro factors at industry level, regulatory changes. Say, for example, now cement is regulated by the rates of cement is regulated by government. If significant changes are brought in, so definitely that also may have a significant impact on our process. And as internal auditor, we should be aware of all that. And whether we can impute that in through use of tech tools or not, the impact, whether that can be quantified through tech tools or not, that is definitely a thing which needs to be looked into when we understand it in detail. Okay, next question, please.
Probably the last one. So there were
Yeah.
two questions which combines are, they're almost the same. So
Okay.
there was a person who was asking that, I cleared my CA 3 years back. What are the steps that I can start with for the internal audit? And the other one was if you have to recommend three immediate steps that every chartered accountant should take to build a future ready internal audit practice, what would they be?
Okay. So a very important and very pertinent questions they have asked. So as fresh chartered accountants, first of all, don't try to create so many domains. If you are talking about internal audit, definitely you need to be aware of the standards on internal audit before you get into it. So definitely, as the first step, you should make yourself well versed with the standards on internal audit, because practical is the application of theory. Unless and until you have the content, unless and until you know the theory, you will not be able to do justice to practicals. Secondly, with experience only, you will be able to create a good internal audit practice, because experience, there is no alternate to experience. But definitely, if you focus on only one or two industries, I- the example which I gave, automobile dealerships or maybe agrochemical companies. So just pick one or two industries and start understanding it, start following it, and try to get an in-depth understanding of the macro factors or the micro factors, whatever is associated with that industry. Try to get an in-depth understanding of that. Once you get that understanding, follow that 90-day plan, which I discussed at the end of this presentation. So follow that plan, and you will automatically see that you are well aware of that industry, you have good knowledge of that industry. Then try to pitch in a smaller player of that industry, try to pitch in that, and don't look at the money in the beginning, that how much fees I'll be getting. Just try to get that engagement even at a lower fees also. That will help you give a robust understanding whatever you have learned all these days, everything you'll be able to apply there, and try to provide the best of services there. If you are able to demonstrate your quality there, I am telling you that most of our work comes through references and mouth publicity. And I have seen even very fresh chartered accountants doing extremely well in a particular area, but whenever they try to spread their wings to all the areas, that is where they are making the biggest mistake. So focus on particular aspects, focus on a particular industry, and try to master it. And I'm telling you that will be a great starting point for you, through which you can master internal audit as well, and you'll be able to create a good practice. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out the valuable time. And as per the feedback that I've received from all the participants, they're saying that I have to share the PPT to them, and
Yeah.
also that very nice presentation and well given presentation. So thank you so much for taking your time out for this webinar in such a short time. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, all the participants. It was great interacting with you. And you asked really pertinent question, very important questions to me. And I was really glad to address you all on this very relevant topic. And please do not consider internal audit as a rudimentary practice. It has significant value to it, and it is not never going to end. It will be bigger and bigger year on year. Just that we have to run along with the development, what is happening technologically, and development in terms of the technicals, in terms of the core technicals, that is our like standards on internal audit and all. So we need to be well aware of that, and definitely you can do wonders in internal audit practice. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tech support.